All right, the floor is yours, and if you want to take over.
Okay, thank you so much, Yvonne. I appreciate it. Good morning, everybody. It's nice to see a lot of familiar faces and then some new faces, and actually seeing familiar names that I see, but then now put a face to a name. So I appreciate that. My name is Ann Dean, and I'm the Vice President of Social Impact over at the Olympic Peninsula YMCA. And so that means I am covering both Jefferson and Clallam County with our social impact or social responsibility programs. I also am currently the interim basic needs and childcare voucher program coordinator. Hopefully, that's not going to be for too much longer, but it is for the current time period. So, I'm just going to start off with a little background, then go into more of the specifics of what we're doing. Thank you, Yvonne, if you don't mind following the chat. I really appreciate that. And then let me know. We can go with some questions from there. So, the Olympic Peninsula YMCA is a nonprofit organization, and for more than 75 years here on the Olympic Peninsula, it has provided programming focused on youth development, healthy living, and social responsibility. Our mission is absolutely to build healthy minds, bodies, and spirits throughout the communities that we serve. We strive to promote the values of caring, respect, responsibility, and honesty. The Olympic Peninsula YMCA is also part of Olympic Connect, and we are fortunate to have resource navigators in Port Angeles, Sequim, and here in Jefferson County. That's where I am today. Our strategic priorities that we work on are children are confident, prepared to learn, and care about others. Individuals of all ages are supported on their health journeys, and individuals and families of all types are part of a well-connected, supportive community. These strategic priorities help us determine how we deliver our services now and how we're going to do that in the future. And so with those, I think you can also see that having the opportunity to provide basic need and childcare vouchers to residents of Jefferson and Clallam counties fits right into those strategic priorities, and also emphasizes that individuals and families of all types are part of that well-connected and supportive community. That's why we're doing it. Okay, let's go here. I'm sorry, I'm going to go to the next slide. So, the Olympic Peninsula YMCA has created and will administer a voucher program for both basic needs and for childcare. The voucher programs will focus on removing barriers to entering or re-entering the workforce. The eligibility criteria is defined by the funders, Economic Development Authority. And the criteria are clients must be enrolled in Olympic Connect, must be in the prime age employment group, must be seeking full-time employment with a pay rate of $26 an hour, full benefits. So full-time, 26 an hour, full benefits. I did share that I am the interim voucher coordinator currently, and I will say we are finalizing the job description for our new voucher coordinator and hope to have that job posted in the next 2 weeks. So what the voucher coordinator will be doing is they will be responsible for working with community service providers, licensed childcare providers, laundromats, facilities that provide shower access, and more to make the payment and billing arrangements. So that's the kind of the community liaison piece. In addition, the voucher coordinator will be taking referrals from the Olympic Connect community-based workers and communicating both with community-based workers and clients directly. So let's dive in a little bit to the vouchers. Okay, first one, basic needs vouchers. The vouchers for basic needs, and these can include things like car repairs, laundry vouchers, shower tokens, hygiene items. All of those, they will depend on what the individual needs are of each client. Kind of like we talked about earlier, we're trying to remove barriers for folks to get good jobs and living wage jobs and provide short-term relief while the PEG clients are actually taking those steps to do it. Vouchers will taper off once our PEG clients secure good jobs or up to approximately 6 months. Payments will be made directly to the service providers, or in the case of hygiene items, they might be purchased directly and then sent to them, or hand delivered to them or picked up. And just also so folks know, we are not able to issue gift cards or cash on the basic needs. So that sometimes has been a question that's come up already. So that's the basic needs vouchers. And I do have ample time put in for questions towards the end, because I do think our list will become more expansive of what we consider basic needs. But for now, the ones that I've listed are the ones that are approved currently. But I do think that we are going to find more basic needs that we are going to be able to cover with this funding. So going on to the next one, childcare vouchers. The childcare vouchers will cover the cost of licensed childcare for families while they're waiting for enrollment in Working Connections. If enrolled or when enrolled in childcare vouchers will also close the gap between state subsidies and the cost of quality childcare. A family will pay their copay, the state will pay their portion, and if there's still a balance due, the YMCA will pay that difference. So the vouchers are available while people are looking for work, while they're applying, once they get some work and applying for Working Connections, and then meeting the difference, covering that gap portion. Voucher amounts will vary based on the number of children, their ages, the total cost of childcare, family income when Working Connections is established. Is it full-time childcare? It will, every person or every families will be unique. Childcare vouchers also will taper off once the PEG clients secure good jobs or up to 6 months. In this case, payments will be made directly to the licensed childcare providers as well. And this would include both the childcare fee and registration fees if people have a registration fee when they're first entering into a childcare facility. So we did kind of talk about this already, and this slide may look very familiar because I borrowed it from Olympic Connect. But what a person needs to be enrolled in Olympic Connect, then that client is paired with a community-based worker, and then the community-based worker will help connect the client to employment services that they may be eligible for. So what I wanted to show you here is in the C2C program, information and applications are going to be found in the Olympic Connect C2C resources under Employment Support Program, Basic Needs Voucher Program, and Employment Support Program, Childcare Voucher Program. I starred those so that you could see them. I know when I was looking in resources for them, I kept looking for childcare and basic needs, and it wasn't coming up. But if you put in the employment support part, that's your big clue. What will end up happening here is this is where you will be able to see information about the program, and then also have a link to the application for the program. But I will say that unfortunately, the link is not active yet. I'm trying to have it updated this afternoon so that it will be live. But our web administrator was caught up in the Alaska Airlines travel debacles of Thursday, Friday last week, and had a very unexpected long layover and is just getting back to the office this morning. So we've had a delay there. So in the interim, I absolutely can email all of you copies of both the child care voucher applications and the basic needs voucher application so that you would have that handy. These are fillable PDF forms, or you can print them out and then, fill them in by hand or by pen. Okay, so a little bit more information, the description of the program there. So wanted to show you kind of an example of applying for vouchers and looking for it. So this is just kind of the beginning of the childcare voucher program application. And to apply for the childcare voucher program, community-based workers will fill out the PEG assessment in the client's case, hopefully work with the client to set some employment goals, including the fact that this program, they're looking for full-time work, they're looking for $26 an hour plus full-time benefits. And then what they will be doing is also checking with the client to identify a child care facility that meets the client's needs, and or learn if they're working with an existing child care facility, because that would be eligible as well. The client with their community-based worker, kind of hand in hand, working alongside one another, may want to go ahead and look into what openings are available at the different child care facilities. So then, once a child care facility has been identified, the CBWs can look in the C2C resources section and pull up the application and then complete the application. And yeah, I already talked about this just a little bit, but it's, if we are helping guide the clients to learn how to get into licensed childcare, it would be great that some of that process is happening before we get this voucher, so that we know that that there is some availability. I also will highly suggest that the client starts filling out the facilities paperwork so that things can be happening in a coordinated way. Here's a little bit more of the application. So after fully completing the application will then be uploaded and saved into the attachments section of the client profile. And then the electronic referral is sent to the Olympic Peninsula YMCA via the Connect to Coordinator. Once we receive it, the voucher coordinator will contact the child care facility directly to arrange payment for the childcare, verify that the information that they have is what we have, and work on coordinating what that payment will be. We ask that the community-based worker also show the client the Working Connections website and start that application process. That is another big ask, but that is a piece of it, because we do need to show that they're applying for it, whether or not they qualify or are accepted for it. They still are eligible for this childcare voucher, but we need to show that Working Connections is being applied for. So processing these applications can take a little bit. I would say 1 to 2 weeks, depending on how responsive the child care facility is, how responsive clients are to when we have missing information, things like that. The task in C2C will be marked as successful when the child care voucher program has been successfully set up with the child care facility, and the first payment is about to be issued or issued. And then if we run into any barriers, or if we have incomplete applications, things like that, the task will be marked as unsuccessful, and the voucher coordinator will send a message in C2C with more information about why we're struggling, or why we're not able to process it currently. Okay. Here's just a glance of the basic needs voucher application. Again, it's just a snippet of the actual application, but saying, that we can look for transportation assistance, auto repair help, laundry vouchers, laundry soap, shower tokens, personal hygiene items. There will be some spaces to, describe what the need is. If it's, client would like access to a shower 4 days per week, or something like that, to give some more detail, or client would like some unscented laundry soap, that kind of thing. So then also what we're having here is This asks about what businesses or facilities has somebody already contacted. And so like that's like in the case of like an auto repair, have they already gotten an estimate for what an auto repair might cost, or have they gotten an estimate of what the cost of tires may be? Also in the next section of the application, but I didn't catch that snippet, it's, who are you planning to work with? And I think we do that in the application process. So it's not just saying, I need this, but it's saying, okay, this is who I have worked with, but here's my plan of who I want to work with if I haven't done that already. So some of that planning with the clients. When you are uploading the applications, please, please, please do include any paperwork that a client might have. For example, those estimates, or a rate sheet, or a copy of the application from the child that a person submitted to the child care facility, things like that. So that is the very basics of it. This is a new program. It's going to be exciting to get up and running. It is going to have lots of questions to it throughout. I know it will. And now by introducing it to all of you, what questions do you have about it? I will try to answer as many of them as I can, and the ones that I can't or that I don't know the answer to, I'll absolutely seek guidance on that and let you know. I'm going to go ahead and stop screen sharing so that I can show you, or so that I can see you and see the chat as well. Okay, I think I saw Kelly's hand up first. So Kelsey, I'm sorry, yeah, Kelsey, go for it.
I can unmute. Okay, lots of questions. Thank you for that wonderful presentation. That snippet you showed us of basic needs, is that all of the basic needs items that can be requested?
At this point, yes. And I'm
Okay.
working on what those additional ones are. And there is a place for other, because I think that we can always ask. But then we have to find out what it is. So, right now it's like gas cards does not qualify because we can't give out any gift cards or cash. But it may be possible, depending on where the person is, to meet them at the gas pump and fill up some gas. But, we want it to be some of these larger areas as well. So we're going to try to do everything that we can to meet the basic needs, but we do have some limitations. We can't buy cell phones. That's one of it, or, that we're not able to do that. And then I do have a few other questions to OCH about some other eligible expenses.
Okay, great. Thank you. And then you answered that question. And what if you get a job that's not $26 or more? What happens?
The hope is that that's what they're going to accomplish in that 6-month period. But let's say okay, I was in Port Angeles and I saw like corrections officers billboards up on the thing. And one of the pay ranges was like 23 to 28, and one of the pay ranges was like 26.50 to 33. Don't quote me on those numbers.
Sure.
But I think it would be, if somebody's applying for a job where they're getting close to that 26, it's really checking with them to say, do we think we can get to the 26 or above in this time frame? And that would be fabulous. But all efforts to do it are what should be undertaken. They do not lose anything or have to pay anything back if it is not accomplished.
So it's just as long as they're seeking that employment and somewhat providing verification of that.
Exactly.
Okay. And then you mentioned that you'd like us to help them start with the Working Connections childcare application, even if they might not be eligible, those kind of things. One thing is like, this is really great because this childcare voucher could fill the gap so people can actually seek employment, right? Whereas Working Connections you're not eligible for Working Connections until you have a job.
Yeah, we're going to school, right?
So they still need to start the application even if they don't have employment yet.
Well, I guess technically, great question, and thank you for pointing out this little loophole. You're right, they are going to want to have the job first. And so once they get a job, that is when they will have to apply for working connections,
Great, thank you.
unless they're in school, because
Okay,
school does qualify as a working connections piece as well.
okay, awesome. And then the other question I have is, can you provide us with a PDF version of the application so we need it? We're totally
Oh,
prepared to answer
Kelsey,
those
I'm losing
questions.
you a little bit. I'm sorry.
Okay, how
And
about
she
now?
said, yeah, we can hear you.
I asked if you could provide a PDF version of the application so that the care coordinators are like fully prepared to answer the questions and have the resources and documentation needed.
Wonderful. Yes, and actually they are fillable PDF applications and the information sheet.
Okay,
And so they can either be filled out right on the PDF and then saved and uploaded, or they can be printed out and handwritten. So
okay,
they can
great.
do that.
I
I'm
think
just sorry that the link is not up quite yet.
that's okay. I think we're just going to want to look at it ahead of time so we know what
Of
we're
course.
getting ourselves into when we start an application with a person.
Yvonne, if I am able to email these to you right after this meeting, are you able to email to all the participants on the call for
Yeah,
now?
so what's going to happen is this recording is going to be put into Genius, the learning management system, and then any documents that you provide, and I'll also attach it so you all can access it in that location.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome.
Excellent.
That answers all my questions, Amy. Thank you.
Thanks, Kelsey. You always ask me the greatest questions, right?
I once got a question asker award from a supervisor. So,
Well, I will tell you that you have a strong competitor in Corey, and she had her hand up next. Go ahead,
And
Corey.
you're
What you
calling me out.
have? Sorry.
Okay, so my first question was, are do they, in order to qualify for these vouchers, do they need to be simultaneously enrolled in the job training voucher piece of the pig?
No.
So they can just be looking for employment even if they're not like retraining or recertifying.
Yes.
Okay.
As long
Um,
as they're looking for a job that's $26 an hour or more full-time with benefits.
And then, is there an upper limit for basic goods per person slash per family? Like if there's two individuals in the same family, are we doing some sort of cutoff there? Like do we have kind of a rough proportion of how much we can allot per person or per family?
We do not at this point. We
Okay.
do not at this point. I will say that we want to remove these barriers and we want to be as generous as absolutely possible when it falls within the parameters that we can do it. Now, does that mean we're buying people cars? Absolutely not. We can't do that. That's not one of the basic needs that we could do. We could help repair a car, but we can't buy a car. But I do know, looking at some of the car repairs that we have received for some of our concrete goods services, yes, they can go into the couple of thousands of dollars. Each parent could qualify, but they're only going to get one childcare voucher, let's say. But it's very possible that both parents might have cars that need repairs, and that would absolutely be considered as long as it's a different car, if it's two cars, not just the same car.
Okay. And then do we have a rough estimate of how big the grant pool that we're pulling from is?
Meaning people or
Like the
dollars or
amount of funding. Yeah, is this going to be something that we think we're going to use up within the next 6 months, or is this
no,
hopefully going to
no.
last a while?
The hope is that it is absolutely going to last for at least a few years.
All
Does
right,
that
thank you.
help?
I'm good.
Thank you. Okay, let's see here. I see Christina and Molly.
I have a question about if they are unable to work full time due to a disability, but they're seeking a better employment, like the 26 per, but they are looking to like balance childcare with what they can work based on like ability status. I'm curious about that.
I will look into that. I do not know the answer to that. And it may depend on the level of disability status too.
Yeah.
So great question. And let me look into that a little bit more. Does anybody else have other questions?
Yes, I do have a question. So I'm wondering, does the location matter? Like, let's say if they are not like, I serve clients out here on the West End and Forks. Would that be like a barrier, or is that just they can get the access?
No, it's not a barrier. We want the requirements are that the person live and work in Jefferson or Clallam counties. It's interesting. We had a client with the Olympic Peninsula YMCA who lived over in Oak Harbor, and this program would have been very, very helpful for them because she worked over here in Port Townsend, but she lived in Oak Harbor, so it automatically made her ineligible. So living and working in Jefferson or Clallam, but you could live in Clallam and work in Jefferson or vice versa.
So Haiti, if they live at the Hoh River in Jefferson County and they're seeking employment in Clallam, they still qualify.
Yes. What other questions? Are we going to do a training in 30 minutes? We might. But seriously, I do, please, please, please do ask a lot of questions. And I'm going to go ahead and also, I'm going to share this again, some of our contact information. Let me go ahead and do this here. Okay. Can you see that? Yes. Okay.
Oz has a question for you.
Oh, okay. Just 1 second, Roz. Here we do have emails that will make sure that they go to the voucher coordinator, meaning me for now, but then voucher coordinators as they come in. So we have basic needs V, standing for vouchers, at olympicpeninsulaymca.org and childcare V at olympicpeninsulaymca.org. And we will be able to start doing that, and we'll get those applications up on the learning site. So I hope that that does help. Okay. Let's see here. Roz had her hand up. Go for it, Roz.
Yeah, sorry I'm a little late. I just wanted to kind of ask another
Oh, I can't
clarifying
hear
question.
you. Sorry.
Your volume's a little low, that's all, Roz.
Is that okay?
Better.
That's better. Okay. Sorry. So just kind of wanted to clarify the order. So that Corey was asking about. So they don't have to be involved in the PEG program first. They don't have to do that first.
They
They
don't
can
have to.
still apply, or
They do not need to be participating in the short-term employment program that's also added or that's also available by the employment support program. They do not need to be. Now, if they are, they can apply for
Okay.
this source of funding as well, but they do not need to be in it to
but
be
they have to be
eligible
an
for
Olympic,
this.
but they have to be an Olympic Connect client.
They do.
Okay, that's first. Okay, and then
They still have to qualify for PEG though, Roz.
okay,
So
Yeah.
it's the same like requirements.
the demo. Okay, still
Between the
Jefferson
ages
Clallam
of
County,
20
still between the 25 to 54 years of age. Okay,
Yes.
perfect. All right, thank you.
Yay!
Thanks for clarifying.
I will say that right on the cover of the application, but I didn't do a thing of it, does have like those little criteria as well, as that refresher for people as you're starting it with a new client. So do have that. I don't know who was next, Christina and Molly or Corey. Christina, go for it.
Kind of ask her. So we were curious if someone is already making 26 or more, then they don't qualify, just as a clarification question. So if someone is already making 26 or more, they wouldn't qualify for this. Is that correct?
Correct. They would not qualify because they already are making $26 or more.
Okay, thank you.
I guess the only way I would say that they could, okay, because of course, I can think about a million ways that there could be, is like, let's say they were $26 an hour part-time and they were trying to go to full-time with benefits, then they might be eligible.
So would, if let's say they're $22 an hour and seeking that full-time $26 an hour while currently employed, and they do have working connections childcare, but they have to pay a co-payment, would the childcare voucher cover the difference in the co-payment cost for them?
If they are getting working connections, the subsidy will be paid to the child care provider. The parent's copay portion will be there. And then if there's an additional cost for the total cost of childcare, the YMCA will pay that difference.
Okay, so the voucher could potentially cover the copay.
No, the parent will still pay their copay.
Okay, and then if there's any additional costs. So what about like registration fees
Yes,
and things like that? Because there's annual registration fees for licensed childcare.
right. Yes, those are covered as well.
Okay, so they could have working connections, be paying their copay, and then September rolls around and they have to pay $250 to hold their child's spot, which is silly. And then the childcare voucher could cover that fee.
I hope that nobody's charging $250 for a childcare application fee.
Well, to hold your child's spot for the next year, they charge, my child care provider charges $350, even to
Okay, I
working
think
connections families. So,
yeah, deposits will have to be looked at on a case-by-case basis. And the reason I say that is if it would have to be within their 6-month window,
mhm.
that
Okay.
funding would be applied towards the child care.
Okay. So if they use this and they get a job within the 6 months window and it goes away, and then in another 6 months they find themselves unemployed for whatever reason and they're seeking employment again, can they utilize the voucher to maintain their childcare or?
This is at this point a one-time use per person. That is something that I think is still being discussed a little bit more because we are hoping for a longer duration of the program. But at this point, it is a one-time, definitely within a 12-month period.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Rolling 12-month. Okay, Corey.
Hi. Okay. So I just wanted to clarify a few things about the income. So, for example, in a dual income family, if one person is underemployed and they're making below that limit, but the other person is still making a decent living wage or whatever, does that one person still does that individual qualify for any of these vouchers, even if their spouse is making more? Or is this like a combined family income or?
It is an individual program.
Okay. So regardless of what a person's spouse is making, if that person's job, and then is it based on is the goal of the program to get people to have that level of income from a job source? Or if, for example, someone is making slightly less than that, but they're getting income from other sources such as child support or whatever, is that going to disqualify from them?
No.
Okay.
It's not, but it really is, it is supposed, getting child support or spousal support, things like that, that is not going to disqualify a person. What the biggest, it really comes down to being in that age group and looking for a full-time job for $26 an hour or more full-time with benefits in Jefferson or Clallam.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really
At the
good to hear. So we're
individual level.
we're good looking to get people those jobs. hopefully
We
those
want to
jobs
get
exist.
people, yeah, we want to get people getting living wage jobs and getting out there and removing these barriers, to being able to do that.
Okay. And then just to clarify, the basic needs voucher is not attached to the childcare voucher. So a person without children can still qualify for the basic needs vouchers?
Correct.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
And we've got a question from Faith in the chat. She asked, is going to school a way to be seeking employment that is a living wage? So is a person going to school?
It depends. And just going to school and not looking at being really close to finishing school, no. You can apply for working connections that way, but not this program. This one, so this question has come up a couple times, and I use it like, oh, what about nursing school students? Somebody who's going to come out, most likely going to be able to find a job for $26 an hour, blah, blah. But they're not going to finish school for 8 months. No, they're not eligible then. Will they be eligible when they're coming out of school and starting to apply? Yes, but not while they're in school necessarily. They have to be seeking that job or a job. These are good. These are really good questions. I'm going to just throw out one or two other questions that I've had that haven't been asked today that may come up. One of them is we had discussed, what about people who have work permits or green cards in the United States, but may not be US citizens? They are eligible for this as long as they hit all the other criteria and they have the valid work permit or green card. That's one. Oh, I'm forgetting what the other one is. Yeah, I am forgetting. Okay, Christina, Molly.
Thank you. You said that maybe if they're part-time making $26 an hour, I'm just thinking of someone that might be, is making $26 an hour minimum. It would like better employment and say they're struggling with a car repair or something like that. Like, is it a really hard line with that 20? Like, I guess this whole time I thought like it was kind of that bubble area too for people that $26 an hour single income is still, they still might be struggling. So I was just kind of curious if it's a real hard line.
It is a pretty hard line that they are really trying to seek and make it to full-time employment, even if they are part-time and doing $26 an hour. So it is, I mean, yes, it is somewhat of a hard line that way. Kelsey's clapped for me for a while, but she's not clapping for me on that one, and that's okay. Thanks, Kelsey. No. Kelsey, you have another.
Yeah, what if it's like a grandparent caregiver or not your traditional, it's not like a child is in a home with a parent, but they're in a home with someone else. And they fit that criteria. Do we need to get documentation that they are the primary provider?
We are going to have to utilize what the state has, or the Working Connections piece, and childcare has the piece about licensed family home base rates, family friend and neighbor base rates, and that people have to meet those categories and things. And I think we will take them on a case-by-case basis, but they have to meet the state requirements and most likely be receiving some of the subsidy for us to be able to do that. We're not, and then, like they very specifically exclude the spouse or a brother, or they exclude certain people. And so we would follow that same criteria. That help?
Yeah,
Oh, I'm
potentially
losing
be
you again.
I'm sorry. It could potentially be a payment for a family friend or neighbor
If
if
they,
if they qualify for the. That's hard because if they qualify, the hard thing is that um they can't qualify to be the family friend or neighbor caregiver until the person has a job.
Correct.
But
Okay, I am going to have to look a little bit more deeply into that. Let me look more deep. That's a great question. I was thinking it was easier than that, but I'm thinking it's more that home-based care versus the family friend and neighbor. So let me
okay.
look into the family friend and neighbor piece and get an answer about that. I'm just even looking it up. The family friend and neighbor rate is $4.50 an hour on Working Connections.
Yeah, it's really silly.
Yeah.
But also like thinking of like infants and newborns,
Yep.
where there's not a lot of options for childcare. I mean, there's not a lot of options for childcare in general, but when you get into that little baby piece, often
The
people
infant piece,
are.
absolutely.
Mhm.
And it may come back that they want it to be a licensed facility more so than the friend, but let me look into it. I want to find ways to make it as easy as absolutely possible all the time, but this might be one that they say, no, we can't do the family friend and neighbor.
Okay, yeah, which makes sense, but people may ask. So.
Great question. Thank you.
We've got two questions in the chat for you, Anne, from Corey. So the first one is, are there requirements for submitting proof of seeking that qualifying employment? And then what are the requirements of the caregiving as well? Because there aren't that many places available in the area.
Okay, as far as the requirements for submitting proof of seeking employment, it is going to be self-attestation. It is going to be self-attestation. I would hope that in some of the conversations with the CBWs that they'd be saying, well, how's your job search going? And, oh, did you, part of that, building that skill of what is a person doing to get employment and to do that. And so some of those follow-up pieces. But we don't need to say, I applied to 6 places this week and here they are. We're not going to go that strongly. But I am hoping that between the voucher coordinator and the community-based worker, that a person is able to say what they are doing. If the community-based worker is hearing that they are absolutely doing nothing to find a job, then we have to have a different conversation because they then start to not really be eligible. Honestly, I mean, I hate to say that, but it is that two, we're walking hand in hand together to try to accomplish this. And we can offer that support as long as other parties are doing their part too. And then requirements of the caregiving as well, because there aren't many placements available in our area. I will look into the family friend and neighbor rate, please. Or I'm sorry, yeah, family friend and neighbor rate. I will absolutely look into that. And see, yeah, we're a childcare desert. We are a childcare desert. And so we absolutely want to do it, but I'll see what is available, or, I'll see what those requirements are, if it will qualify, but I don't know at this point. Does that help, Corey? Could the basic needs voucher help with rent? I see that one. My understanding is no. Kelsey's question. I am sure along the way there will be a handful of folks who self-attest and are not telling the truth, but I am willing to bet there will be more people who are seeking employment because this reduces so many layers of barriers. Absolutely. I'm gonna clap if I can find my emotions. Oh,
We work with so many people in so many different ways that are utilizing resources and support, uh, and they're doing it in such a caring and thoughtful way, uh, and not overusing and not manipulating systems. And then we come across the people who do, and that really frustrates us in the moment. But when we think about how many people, and it's because we see how many people are not doing that, but when we really think about how many people are not doing that, those frustrations start to fizzle out. And usually when people do that, it's because they have some other unmet need. So I'm really excited to hear that there's not a ton of hurdles to jump through over because those people go just run right through them to be able to access this service. So
and to meet that need really, really quickly. But this does give some time for that more thoughtful approach and for some of that more relationship building and connection building between CBW and the voucher coordinator and the client, to try to build that skill, to go for that goal of that employment that we really want them to get. But thank you for saying that. And I hope I didn't sound harsh or anything. I didn't mean it in a harsh way at all, of saying, because we do know, yes, that, and you stated it way more eloquently than I did.
when you said it, it's like that's just one more barrier reduced, because if we have to submit 6 things,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, to say that you did this in this week, it's just another thing that's going to make people not want to do this. Like, and then they're submitting 6 applications to, and we all know that as employers that you're getting this application because this person is checking off a box. They
Right.
live in Kansas.
Yes.
And are not willing to relocate to anywhere outside of Topeka. So,
No, you're exactly right. And I hate Indeed. If anybody works with Indeed, I think that Indeed will show a job description and say, "Are you interested in applying?" And people just click apply, and then you get those exactly what you're talking about, Kelsey. I remember one reception job that I was hiring for at another place. I swear to God, we got like 45 applications in 3 days, but almost all of them were out of town for a not very high paying position. So yeah.
yeah.
But I also feel like as well, like if there's families that are already applying for TANF for something and they're working with WorkSource, they're already having to submit all of this proof. And so I'm glad to hear that we're not like putting another burden of paperwork on top of them. But I do understand what you're saying about it does need to be sort of a good faith thing. Obviously, we can't just be like throwing money around without being able to justify it.
Mhm. I want to see our clients be successful with this opportunity. I want to work as hard as absolutely possible to get this support into people's hands so that we can see a positive trajectory in moving in those directions. Both, I mean, and also when I look at things that are going to be happening here in the next little while, I think this timing of launching this is really, really appropriate too. Because financial situations could be more pressed and people may really be out there looking for more, looking to do more in employment areas. And how can we help them get there? Any other questions?
Do you? Go ahead, Molly. Go ahead.
Well, I was just wondering, I know we can't give gift cards, but is food considered in the basic needs? Like if we were to go and maybe, no? Okay.
It's not. It is not. No, unfortunately, it is not.
That was a really good question. I think it was probably lingering in a lot of brains. The one question I had doesn't really have to do with the vouchers per se, but I heard you mention that you're manifesting the perfect person to take on the voucher coordination role. Do you guys have that listed somewhere that we can share?
Not quite yet. I'm hoping that that will be posted within the next 2 weeks.
Okay. Would you mind sending that out to maybe the OC like supervisors, the link?
Oh, okay. If that's allowed, I absolutely will.
I think
It is.
it's a perfect opportunity to share with our Olympic Connect clients that there is work available that's connected to,
Yes.
yeah.
And we're also happy to post it in our newsletter. It's very common for us to post job postings in our newsletter or with our network. So that's appropriate.
Wonderful. Yes, I absolutely do want to get it out there. And if you know somebody who'd be fabulous at it, please let me know.
Yeah, I mean, we all have friends and family who are seeking employment, but also, I mean, it is exactly what we're doing when working with people. So we might just come across a client who might be just a wonderful fit. So
Yes. And I don't have the job description in front of me, but as I was writing it, I was like, oh, this might be a really cool job because like you're out and about in the community and talking to a lot of community people, but you still get to do some one-on-one. But then you're out and creating those relationships, in the community and educating, but you still get to do the little one-on-one piece. So yeah, I was thinking, oh, I like this job. And there may be some math involved in the job, just so you know.
I ask you a question and not to put you on the spot. Um, but this is something we've been talking about at first step too, is will the wage scale and the full-time position and benefits meet the PAEG requirements? Like,
I will not swear, but I will say absolutely.
mhm. Okay,
Absolutely. Yes. And I will tell you it is $26 an hour, 40 hours per week, and receiving full-time benefits. Or I'm sorry, receiving full benefits.
awesome. Thank you.
Mhm. I didn't swear the whole time. I'm so close.
Yeah, it's not recorded. I'm proud of you, Anne.
Thank you
Um,
very much.
we've got about 5 or so minutes left. I just wanted to make us aware of time. So if we had any
Thank
last
you.
minute questions, just to be mindful of time.
I so appreciate these questions because this is new and it is something that we're going to want to get it out there and want to be able to give as much as we possibly can within the parameters. And the parameters sometimes seem incredibly rigid and strict. And that's our job here in the program to really find out what those are. But please know that we will advocate for as absolutely as much variety on things like the basic needs and or if we're able to do the family friend and neighbor piece, but we may still have to come back and say some no's. But thank you. These questions help go with that. Oh,
There's two more in the chat. So when does it start? And then Corey asked, are there any exclusions for ex-felons or recent reentry folks?
when does this start? Today. Today. Right now. Oh boy. And any exclusions for ex-felons or recent reentry folks? I will look into that, but I do not believe so. As long as they meet all the other eligibility criteria. Let me write
So
that
if
down.
folks have any follow-up questions, Anne, where would you like them to direct
Here, let me
it?
go ahead and put my direct email in here. And then as well, I'm going to go ahead and include the ones for the program. It's Childcare V at Olympic Peninsula YMCA. We do have the longest email in the history of the world. And then basic needs. Okay, I have those all in there
Fabulous.
so folks can copy paste them.
Awesome. So if anybody has questions, you guys can email the email links in the chat. Like I mentioned, I'm gonna go ahead and upload this recording. And if you want to send me any PDF documents or anything that folks can reference, all of that will be added in Genius for you to reference. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording.